What's up, everyone? This is the Next Take Podcast, episode 22 with Mikel and
Tanyka,
where we have conversations on different topics. So this is the finale on our Black History Month series. So if you guys haven't listened to it, I suggest you. The first one was basically on inventors. The second one was civil rights leaders. The third one was
the deaths that affected the Black Lives Matter movement as well as the Civil Rights movement.
Okay. And this is
the fourth one. The fourth one. No,
and
wait. The fourth one, we did the music, Black people in music, or Black people in arts, I should say.
Okay.
And this is the fifth one.
Yeah, the fifth and last one. So hopefully, you guys tune in and, enjoy a lot of these or enjoy this series. If you guys are, don't like it, or basically
don't say don't like it.
Don't
say don't like it. Yeah. If you guys want to educate yourselves more on what we've talked about, that's what you should say. Then, as he's kind of said in previous episodes, you can either do a Google search, or you can go to a library, you can go to a chapters, or even if you have like an Audible or something, you can do an audiobook. You can do it with chapters, or in States, Barnes and Noble, you can do that. And you can do your research on the topics that we've talked about.
Research is available.
And I think we definitely will do something similar like this again next year too.
Oh yeah.
I think this is something that will be a running theme where we will do the complete Black History Month type episodes for Black History Month. I think it's important.
Yeah, to also bring awareness to this situation too. So like, this was a pretty good series. It's a lesson learned from me as well. Basically, because this is my first time doing a series like this, and I probably kind of fumbled or struggled a little bit here and there with but it's also a learning curve for me to just try to improve myself to get better with these types of episodes.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much to choose from and talk about. Like, we can still do like an inventors type episode next year. We can do a civil rights episode again next year, because there's just so much to choose from with those. We might have to figure out all the other ones, but even the deaths one, we can still do stuff like that again too, because unfortunately there has been many. So, we can do stuff like that again and kind of, talk about more people who deserve to be highlighted.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so what are we talking about today, Tanyka?
So today we are going to be talking about the Black Lives Matter movement. Going forward, I'm going to call it BLM. A little easier. But we're going to be talking about kind of where it started, how it started. So there might be some repeats of some of the things we've already talked about, just because those things really pushed it into what it became and what it is. So that's what we're going to be talking about.
Okay, and the next thing we're talking about?
Okay, yes. We are going to be talking about, this kind of came up in the last couple of weeks, and I thought this episode is a perfect episode for us to talk about it. We are going to be talking about a little, I guess you could call it an article, or her thoughts and feelings, that a mayor in Pickering released, talking about her views on Black History Month. And really just Black history in general, just history in general. we are going to be talking about this. I think a lot of people here in Ontario, particularly in the Durham region, have heard about this because it was everywhere. Not just like once you sent it to me, I was seeing it everywhere. I am going to be reading the article on the podcast for those who don't know about it, so you can be just as angered about it as me and Mikel are. So,
yeah, it's something.
It really is something.
Something. That's our mayor. That's
your
my
mayor.
That's my mayor. So I do live in Pickering. So
we said the same thing last night after we finished recording a bonus episode, which you guys will get in March. And I said the same thing then too. I'm like, that is your mayor. That's not mine.
Yeah, that's I'm always confused because I thought she lives in, Pickering with me, but she lives in Ajax.
I live in Ajax. But that's the thing. Ajax and Pickering, it's like we're connected. It's
in Durham, so
it is. And the thing too is like I can get into Pickering in literally 5 minutes. So it's so close.
Yeah. Okay, let's start the show.
Okay, so the Black Lives Matter movement formed in the United States in 2013. So if we can remember, Trayvon Martin died in 2012. The BLM movement seemed to have started right after that happened. So it dedicated to fighting racism and anti-Black violence, especially in the form of police brutality. The name Black Lives Matter signals condemnation of the unjust killings of Black people by police. Black people are far more likely to be killed by police in the United States than white people. I know we're talking about Black lives here, but I also want to group in Hispanic as well, are definitely very much a part of that as well. Yep. Still, though, Black people, it's more than Hispanics. And the demand that society value the lives of humanity of Black people are much as it values the lives and humanity of white people. So we're basically saying, value us as much as you value white people as well. That's basically what it's.
Yeah.
So BLM activists have held large and influential protests in cities across the United States, as well as internationally. A decentralized grassroots movement, Black Lives Matter, is led by activists and local chapters who organize their own campaigns and programs. The chapters are affiliated with the Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation, which is a nonprofit civil rights organization that is active in the United States, Canada, and United Kingdom. So, not just the States. So BLM was co-founded in 2013, as I just said, as an online movement using the hashtag Black Lives Matter. So I think we all kind of saw that.
Yeah.
And it was created by 3 Black community organizers, all women. I did know this. It's all women who started Black Lives Matter.
I heard it was all women that created the Black Lives Matter.
So their names are Patrice, I think it's Patrice how you say it, Colors, Alicia Garza, who I've actually seen her and doing interviews before, and Opal Tometi, I think is how you say it. They say they formed BLM after George. Oh, yes, that's right. They formed BLM after George Zimmerman, who we all know already from 2 weeks ago, murdered, because he did murder Trayvon Martin.
Yeah, he did.
He definitely did. Check this out. You want to know, we were all kind of questioning his background, George Zimmerman. He is of German and Peruvian descent. So he is part Hispanic.
Interesting.
So after he was acquitted on charges stemming from his fatal shooting of Trayvon Martin. So that's what kicked it off. It was actually him being acquitted, which I totally understand this. Like we talked about the anger I think a lot of people felt when that happened. I remember it. I remember feeling very angry. So I can imagine that anger, that frustration really fueled this. So that's, I totally get it. So if you want to, just a refresher on what happened here, again, we did talk about this in our third episode. But I'll just, it was the third episode. So we will just do a quick little refresher here so you remember. So Trayvon Martin, he was an unarmed Black teenager in Sanford, Florida in February 2012. Zimmerman, a neighborhood watch volunteer, had seen him walking in his neighborhood wearing a hoodie and called the police because he thought Trayvon looked suspicious, but then he still confronted him and, well, shot him, as we know.
Yeah.
And then again, when law enforcement arrived, Zimmerman claimed that he had been assaulted by Martin and fired in self-defense. We go into our thoughts and views on this nonsense in the third episode. If you want to hear that, you can go over there and watch it and listen to the third episode. So I don't know if we talked about this part of it, but I'm going to bring this up. Zimmerman remained free for weeks. So they never arrested him.
I think we did.
Did we?
Yeah, we did talk about that. But it's okay to refresh the people.
Okay. But as the shooting gained national attention, demonstrations demanding his prosecution were held in cities across the United States. He was finally charged with second-degree murder and arrested in April 2012. At his trial more than a year later, Zimmerman claimed that he had acted in self-defense, as we just said, citing a controversial Florida law known as Stand Your Ground, which we did talk about that. His acquittal in July 2013 was widely perceived as a miscarriage of justice, 100%, and led to further nationwide protests. So the BLM movement expanded in 2014 after the police killings of two unarmed men, Eric Garner and Michael Brown. Garner died in Staten Island, New York. Now, if anyone needs a refresher on this one, I remember this one. Mikel, I don't know if you do, but this is the one where you could clearly see the police, like, I think, were they holding him by the neck?
Yeah, I think I saw video clips.
There was video clips, yes.
Yeah.
Remember, I don't know why I remember and why this always sticks out in my mind, but I remember for some reason they were holding him up against a storefront at one point, and then they brought him down to the ground, and then that's where he was killed.
Yeah.
So that's what I remember, and that was in New York, and that was back in 2014. So after a white police officer held him in a prolonged illegal chokehold, so there we go, which was captured by video, which we just said, taken by a bystander. And you know what? God, I know the bystander effect is such a real thing. And sometimes you don't know what you would do in certain situations. But if I'm that bystander, put your phone away. Although, thank you for doing it, because I think that, again, just moves us into the direction that we finally got to, at least a police officer or multiple police officers in the future being charged for what they did and not getting just a slap on the wrist. But put that phone down and help him. You know what I mean? I know they're police officers, but I'm sorry, police officers shouldn't just... I'm not going to be afraid of a police officer, because I will take I pushed police officer, so I might get charged with police violence or whatever the hell that charge is. I'll take that because I would have saved someone's life. I don't know. So I think this for me, I'm that person that's like, you know, someone's being hurt or your child's crying or this and that, put your phone down and help your child or help that person. Like, I am that person that just thinks that way. Maybe I'm old, but just what I think. I don't know. Maybe that's just me being like,
I don't know what can the person with the phone can do. Most likely the police will tell you to get off your phone or you stand down.
Well,
or,
and it's the thing. If a police officer tells you to come off your phone or turn off the phone, you don't have to do that. You're not breaking the law by recording them, first of all, because they'll record you and then inform you that you're recording. All you gotta do, and I don't think New York is a state where you have to get permission from the other side. I know Florida is, but I don't think New York is. You can do one party recording and you don't need permission, so you can do what you want. Do what you gotta do. Anyway.
Yeah. Let me see. I was gonna say something else. But the thing is with like bystanders like that, I understand they're trying to bring awareness.
Or call the police. Someone call the real police to come and deal with the police. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, like they're just. I'm guessing they're just trying to bring awareness to police brutality.
That's why I said I see both ends of it. Because on the one hand, we wouldn't have that footage, but on the other hand, someone could have saved a life. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm in this weird place. Okay, so then Michael Brown, which I believe I remember this too. He was a teenager who was shot and killed by a white police officer in Ferguson, Missouri. I'm trying to remember if this might be different. There was one case where a little kid, I think he was actually 12, who was shot by police because he was holding a fake gun. But I don't think that was the same one.
Yeah.
Remember that too? Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that one, yeah.
So these deaths, as well as the refusal of prosecutors to bring charges against the officers, led to large protests in the name of Black Lives Matter, which captured national and international attention. The Black Lives Matter movement thereafter continued to play a prominent role in demonstrations against police brutality and racism. Notably, BLM activists protested the deaths at the hands of police or while in police custody, which there are many of those, unfortunately. And several other Black people, which include Sandra Bland, Philando Castile, I know that name, Freddie Gray, Laquan McDonald, Tamir Rice, Walter Scott, and Alton Sterling. I'm trying to remember if there's one in particular. It might have been Sandra Bland, but it might not have been her. I can't remember. But there is one, I can't remember her name, but there's one in particular where she wasn't doing anything wrong.
What about Breonna Taylor?
We're not there yet. These are those people who have been in police custody. I do bring that up.
Oh, okay.
But there was one woman in particular who she was actually very active on, I think it was like YouTube or Facebook or something like that. She had a following and she was minding her business, driving. I don't know where she was going. It was pretty early in the morning.
Yeah.
Police.
Yeah, I don't remember that one.
Let me finish. Police pulled her over, arrested her for what we don't know. And she was recording too, for what we don't know. And then for whatever reason we still don't know, she died while in police custody. And no one knows what happened. They obviously claim it was accidental, or we don't know. It's one of those weird mysteries. But it's things like that. It's like, what happened? What went down? Like, there's been Black women who have been arrested. There was another case, again, sorry guys, I don't remember her name either, but it was in California. She was arrested and she was released at like some godforsaken time in the morning, like in the middle of the morning, like 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning, when usually they don't release people. And she was found wandering around. She died, but they saw her like wandering around like the bumfuck areas of California.
Wow.
And they found her body, I think at the bottom of like a hill or something. Again, another case of police not doing the right thing, releasing her at a godforsaken time in the morning. They could have held her. We could be talking about something completely different, but instead they didn't do that. So like, it's just not great, because again, would they have done that to a white person? No, probably not. Right. They probably would have made sure they got home, or at least got a cab or Uber or something. They didn't do that for her.
Absolutely true. I do believe that it would have happened differently if the person was white. So
yeah. So also, we're gonna talk about the outrage that kind of happened, which also really pushed things over the edge with Black Lives Matter, with 2 other African Americans who were also killed through police brutality. Well, actually, one of them was not police brutality, but the other one was. Ahmaud Arbery and Breonna Taylor. So in February 2020, Ahmaud Arbery, this I heard about, and this still angers me, was jogging in Glenn County in Georgia, so it's south, when 2 white men, believing he might have committed a series of break-ins, began following him in a truck. The men who had guns confronted him, and a struggle ensued, which resulted in the fatal shooting of Arbery. So let me give some context to this, because I think we need a little bit of context here. Yeah. The reason they believed he was the one who did it was because there had been break-ins in the area before. So then they see this black boy jogging unarmed, and they think he's the one who's been robbing everybody, and he's gonna try and do it again, or he's scouting out the area or whatever. He had no affiliation with any robberies happening.
Crazy.
I don't even think he's actually from that area. I don't know why he was there, but nonetheless, if he was from it, I just remember clearly, because again, my knowledge is from when Dr. Phil had this on his show. And we're talking, this was years ago, because I never watched the final season of Dr. Phil. So this was a while ago, and now the show is done. So it was a long time ago. Probably right around the time it happened. So 2020. And so my knowledge is limited, but there is a video that the men took of Arbery jogging. So they were following him, and only following him, recruiting him, and he was just jogging. And I think at one point you hear him, I think off camera, being like, "Why are you guys following me?" And off camera you could hear the gunshots happening. Like, you can't see him, but you can hear the gunshots. And it's just like, well, what the fuck? First of all, similarly to the whole Trayvon Martin aspect of things, if you suspect something, call the police. Now, I'll give George Zimmerman one thing. He did call the police. He just then decided to still take matters into his own hands after that.
Yeah.
These guys didn't call the police. They just took matters into their own hands. I'm sorry, but not to hate on everyone in the South, but this feels very like quote unquote redneck to me. You people need to stop fucking thinking you are the law and you need to defend the law. You're police officers. You are civilians like everyone else. If you suspect something, call the fucking police.
If you want to be a police officer, go to school like all of them.
But they would never Because not only do you have to go to school, you have to pass a psychological test. These fuckers would never pass a psychological test.
Exactly.
They never would. I've seen crazier things happen, but maybe, so it's angering to hear this shit. And then, where am I at? Okay, so the following month in Louisville, Kentucky, Breonna Taylor, who was an emergency medical technician, was killed during a botched police raid at her home. Although Aubrey and Taylor, now, I should rage about Breonna Taylor as well. The whole thing about the Breonna Taylor situation was I think there was a drug raid that they were trying to do, or they had a no-knock warrant. I know that much. I'm confused. I was always confused by this. They say it's a botched one, but my understanding was that it had to do with her boyfriend, or they thought it had to do with her boyfriend and actually didn't, and I'm not sure about that. But my issue is the no-knock warrant. I did not know that existed until this happened. Why the fuck does that exist? You should never be doing a no-knock warrant and then you're coming in guns a-blazing. And those people, the one thing I'm going to say is people, I don't know if it was the SWAT that got involved or what, but they are trained to shoot first and ask questions later.
That should never happen. Shoot
but
first.
That's how they're trained. That is how they're trained. That's the thing. Not so much about shoot first. They're trained to be like, point their gun at anybody and everybody, even if they're innocent. That is what they're trained to do.
That's crazy to me.
And they will ask those questions later. And it is crazy. That is how they are trained. And I think it's not only for safety of others, but safety of themselves. But in this case, you're walking, I want to understand, you're walking into someone's home at the bumfuck hours of whatever fucking time you guys showed up. And she's sleeping. She's fucking sleeping.
Exactly.
How is she a threat to you? And I don't know where her boyfriend was, if he was sleeping or not sleeping or whatever the hell. I don't think he was, but she's asleep. She had just gone off of work. She was a nurse and she was sleeping. What the I don't get it either. But I think they've actually stopped the no-knock warrants because of this. You can't fucking do that. And then do it at a godforsaken hour like that when people are sleeping. If you're going to do these no-knock warrants. That's ridiculous to me. And what was the purpose of a no-knock? Why are you going to do a no-knock warrant for drugs? Do a no-knock warrant for a person who's killed somebody. Fine. If you shoot that person, go for it. But don't do it for drugs. Give me a fucking break. I don't understand.
So the three police officers who were a part of this operation with Breonna Taylor were the names Jonathan Mattingly, Brett Hankerson, and Miles Cosgrove, I believe.
Cosgrove?
Those are the three officers. Cosgrove, yeah, there we go.
And I don't think they ever got anything for this.
I don't think they got anything, or this to this day. No. Wait, hold on. LMPD fired Hankerson.
Okay, that's something.
Yeah, they fired him as well.
That's something. Yeah.
For blindly firing through the covered patios through the door and window of Taylor's apartment. So,
I also, after we talk about this stuff, I want to bring up something too at the end where I think it's also very important to talk about, because it kind of just shows where we've why we've had to kind of do something like this in times where Black people are being ignored in the times where they really needed the help. So it is true crimey, but I do think the part of it for me that I want to highlight is the fact that Black people, and in particular Black men, are being ignored when they need the help. So I do want to kind of bring that up, and I want to kind of tie this in with, this is why we need it. Right. So let's continue. So although Aubrey and Taylor had initially received little media coverage, in the wake of Floyd's death, George Floyd, which we've talked about in our third episode as well, they also became the subject of nationwide demonstrations, because that is exactly it. I think both Aubrey and Breonna Taylor died in the same month, if not the same month. Aubrey was January and she was February. And we heard nothing. And then we're also dealing with COVID-19 at the time too. That's no excuse.
Right.
With George Floyd was when those names became known. And the only reason that happened is because of the BLM movement. We wouldn't have known otherwise.
Right.
So these events swayed American public opinion in favor of the Black Lives Matter movement, while drawing wide attention to the problem of entrenched racism in American society. There were calls for greater police accountability, and in 2021, Chauvin, who is the one who killed George Floyd, actively was the one who killed him, was found guilty of murder, as we've talked about. It was a rare case of police violence resulting in a conviction. And that is very true, and that is sad.
Yeah.
That he is the exception and not the rule. Sad.
Yeah, it is. It's extremely sad.
Yeah.
That people like that still able to be free and to do whatever they want.
And guess what? Murder, there is no statute of limitations. These other people that we've talked about could still be charged. So why can't that happen? Especially with one like the one who died in Staten Island, there is video proof of what happened. You could still bring charges against somebody. Look at the Golden State Killer. My guy was going nutso in the 70s. And as soon as they were able to figure out who the fuck he was, they charged him, and he is now in prison as an old man. You know, like, it can be done.
Yeah.
I just don't know why it can't be. So, the mission of Black Lives Matter. The Black Lives Matter movement has many goals. BLM activists seek to draw attention to the many ways in which Black people are treated unfairly in society, and the ways in which institutions, laws, and policies help to perpetrate that unfairness. The movement has fought racism through such means as political action, letter writing campaigns, and nonviolent protests. And I think the reason that's so important to stress that they're nonviolent protests is because they have become violent because of the police, not because of the people who are doing the protests. I'm sure there are always that one person who has to ruin it for everybody else. But overall, it's not the people, the civilians doing stuff.
You remember that protest? I think it was George Floyd, right? When people were just like, well,
there are many
burning buildings, etc., all that stuff, and then the outrage was like, the Black Lives Matter movement is destroying small businesses, destroying big businesses, and destroying people's homes. That's not a protest. That's a riot. So
that is a riot, though. I will agree with that. Yeah. That is a riot. But I think we have to understand that we've had many riots over the years, and it's usually because something egregious has happened. And in this case, something egregious that the whole world either saw or if you were listening to podcasts, you would hear it, because I got both of them. It is egregious and it is angry, and I don't agree with it. It's not the way to go, but I understand it.
Yeah, because
especially in the early days of what happened.
Oh yeah,
I was angry.
It's like black people's been angry for years, and to be ignored for so many generations.
Like
until now.
When I thought of George Floyd and what happened to him, I thought about the fact, like, my boyfriend looks just like him. Not just like him, but looks like him. And that could have happened to him.
Yeah.
My brother, that could have happened to him. Now, my brother doesn't. If you look at my brother, you wouldn't if you're ignorant enough, you wouldn't think my brother's black. But if you are smart enough, you'd see it.
Yeah, definitely.
I think about that. I think about that with you too. And it's just like, that kind of shit happens to, and that could have happened to anyone. That's where the anger comes from. It's the fact that we think about our loved ones who could have been in place of George Floyd. That's why people get angry.
Exactly. Yep.
So, BLM seeks to combat police brutality, the over-policing of minority neighborhoods, and the abuses committed by for-profit jails. That needs work for sure. Its efforts have included calls for better training for police and greater accountability for police. For police conduct. BLM activists have also called for defunding, which we did talk about, the police. That is reducing police department budgets and investing the freed up funds in community social services, such as mental health, which I did bring up, and conflict resolution programs, which I think is perfect. That's what I actually agree with that. Because if we can have people who are trained to handle certain situations to take that burden off of the police, then fine. I'm for it. Do it.
Awesome. Yeah.
BLM activists have worked on voter registration and get out the vote campaigns in Black communities. In addition, BLM programs have celebrated Black artists and writers. So the support for BLM often broke along political affiliation and racial or ethnic lines. Notably, African Americans and other minorities such as Japanese, Haitian, tennis star Naomi Osaka, whatever, tended to show the most support, while whites showed the least, often less than 50%. The division was even more dramatic between political parties. Few Republicans expressed support for BLM, not surprising, in contrast to the vast majority of Democrats. Critics of BLM made various claims, from maintaining that systematic racism does not exist in the United States. You're fucking dumb.
That's laughable, because
alleging that BLM encouraged violence against police. In response to BLM, opposition groups formed, including Blue Lives Matter, which supports law enforcement.
I have issues with that, but go ahead.
I mean, listen, does these things matter? Absolutely. But not in place of, or not in a way where it's going to take away from others. Right? White Lives Matter, formed by white nationalists. My God. Given political polarization as well as the increased influence of BLM, it was perhaps not surprising that the movement was an issue during the 2020 US presidential election. Facing a tough race, Donald Trump, I will not call him President Donald Trump. Fuck that shit. That guy, the Oompa Loompa, who was a Republican,
the orange man.
Oh my God. Was harshly critical of BLM because he's a racist, notably citing isolated acts of violence and looting that accompanied some of the demonstrations against racism and police brutality. He also used the protest as a means to promote a law and order platform while appealing to the grievances of some whites. His challenger and his winner, Democrat Joe Biden, embraced the movement and Black voters, of course he did, who were instrumental in his eventual victory. And we're going to say it again. All of these Trump supporters, where were you on January 6th? That's all I'm going to say. Wait, what? Seriously, though, where are you?
Terrorizing. That's what they were doing.
And what did Trump do? Or what did Trump say? Nothing. He said fucking nothing.
He was against the whole thing, by the way.
He was against it?
Yeah. Acting like he was against it. Yeah,
acting like he was.
It, but
I don't think he was.
Yeah, but he was pumping up. I remember he was doing a speech.
Yeah.
Pumping up the crowd.
Exactly.
Like, they will never take this. They will never take this from me. They will never take, I will win. I'm always a winner. They're losers. Blah, 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 all that stuff. Like, no. I don't understand them as a just take it as an L, man. Take it as an L. Move on, or come back. Well, he is coming back. He is coming back. But he sounded like a sore loser the whole time that he was like.
But that's because he is one. He's always been one. He's always been a sore loser. But like the thing is, I feel like Trump should be so careful though, because when you have when there is a particular cult that I'm not going to say on this podcast, but it starts with a Q. If your people freaking think you're a god of some sort in that particular cult, and all you're doing is fueling those people who believe in it, and it's just not great. A lot of people who raided the White House or the Capitol, who all those people, they were part of this cult. So it's just, a lot of them were. It's just not great. Not great. But anyway, that is it for the Black Lives Matter movement.
Well, hold on. I'd like to ask you a question.
Okay.
What's the difference between the Black Lives Matter movement versus the Black Lives Matter corporation?
Aren't they one and the same?
Yeah.
They are one and the same. It's the corporation who starts the movement.
One's more social and the other one's more corporate.
No, I think you're confused. Yes, they are corporate because they have created a business from this to help where it needs to help. But they have created a movement in order to do the things they need to do. It's all one thing at the end of the day. It's very similar to like the Me Too movement. It's the same idea. They have the company or whatever, but they also have this social movement. But it's all one thing. It's all the same. So there's no difference.
All right. I just wanted to ask you that question. Yeah, I just wanted to ask you that question because there's a lot of people who think that, Black Lives Matter is a corporation.
They do.
not a movement. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You should have saw during the time, when the riot happened, or the protest happened, people were just basically like, and saying that Black Lives Matter is a corporation, not a movement. So
interesting.
Yeah.
And I do want to say this too, before we end off the Black Lives Matter situation. As I've said before, do all lives matter? Yes, they do. Yeah, they always do.
Yeah.
But when you're dealing with Black people who are not being protected, and this is why I'm going to launch into what I'm going to say here. When you have Black people who are not being protected and are being racially profiled, our lives don't matter in those moments. You know, to kind of say it, like my boyfriend had a fear of, I'm a Black, he has actively always has that fear of, I'm a Black man, and I'm not gonna have the same safeties because of it. And that is a fear that we should not have to worry about, but we do. So that is why Black Lives Matter is important. Now, I have said before, there are a lot of issues that happen within our own community. There's a lot of crime and hate that happens among us as well, that needs to be figured out, because I have seen that. I have not witnessed it, but it has happened in my own family, of Black people killing Black people. That too needs to be figured out. But that does not mean that the brutality that is happening among the police against our people does also not need to be dealt with. That needs to be dealt with. And I feel that it goes so much deeper than that as well. And this is where I want to go into it now. For those who are true crime fans or know the stories of true crime and everything like that, I'm going to give you two things to think about. We have Jeffrey Dahmer, who is a white man, a gay white man. So there's that element as well too. But there's a gay white man who targeted Black gay men, or not even just gay men, but normally targeted Black gay men, and killed those people because he knew in the back of his mind that nothing is going to happen. They do not care about Black people. And you know what? He was fucking right. Because the police didn't do shit. Now, the one example I'm going to give you did not happen to a Black person, but it still happened to a minority, a child at that. When you have someone coming at you, not being able to speak, he is bleeding from an area that I'm not going to say, but use your imagination. And the police literally say, it's not our problem. Literally, the police were called to help this child, and nothing was done. Here comes Jeffrey Dahmer saying, he's my lover. Now, Jeffrey Dahmer was in his mid to late 20s. This child was he 14? He was 14.
Yeah, he was 14.
He was 14 years old.
Younger. Yeah.
He did attack his younger brother too, who was, I think, 12. But he survived.
Oh.
And then he randomly found this kid. I don't think he knew. He knew after, but he didn't know that. And he says, he's my lover. We just had a little fight. And the police officers say, okay, deal with that, because that's gay shit, so you deal with that. And they laugh about it. They were literally recorded laughing about the fact of, that's nothing but a gay thing. It's fine. And what happened to them? Nothing. They got a slap on the wrist. Nothing happened to them. And that's the most angering part. Now, surprisingly enough, the man who is the reason that Jeffrey Dahmer was caught was a black man. And he did run and find police and say, he's trying to kill me. And luckily, they listened to him, so that's great.
Even the black lady was complaining to the to the police too.
Yes.
They didn't even listen to her.
They didn't listen to her, but that's the thing. The woman who called, I don't know if you're basing it on the Netflix doc, but the Netflix series, but the woman who was. Yes. So just to preface that too, the woman that who called the police, they actually put two different people into one character. I guess this is streamline things. Yeah, because the neighbor, the quote unquote neighbor, was actually not the one who called police. He did have a neighbor who lived beside him, who was a black woman, but she was never the one who called the police. The woman who called the police that day, the woman who called the police that day was the person who lived across the street from him. And it was her daughter who encountered the 14-year-old. And it was a daughter and I think a cousin. And I think one of them, whether the daughter or the cousin, I can't remember, left to go to that woman and say, there is a kid down here who doesn't look so good. And that woman then called the police. But they didn't listen to her either. That's right. Like, that kid could be alive right now. Because for those who know, you know what happened to that kid? When he brought him back up to his apartment, he injected him with more Drano. He was putting cleaning solution or something into him. He put more into him because he wanted to create a zombie for those people who know the story. And he killed him. So that's what happened. We don't know what the outcome would have been if he would have, because he was already in a zombie-like state. We don't know what would have happened. But my guy had a drill hole in his head and no one did anything. I don't want to get into it because it makes me very angry when I think about he could have been stopped right there and then, but he wasn't. But I want to transition to another thing that I just learned about very recently from the Morbid podcast. I don't know if anyone is fans of Morbid, but I definitely am. And Elena just told a story about very similar to Jeffrey Dahmer, a man named Dominique. I can't remember his last name, but he lived in Louisiana. And he was targeting black men, similar to what Dahmer did too. He was also a man who was struggling with his sexuality. He was gay, but he struggled with that. And he targeted black men and boys. Because again, they're not going to be on anyone's radar. The police literally identified these people as living risky lives. And it's like, most of them didn't. Some of them were children. And they were being ignored. And let me tell you something. Louisiana is a very racist state. It's actually very surprising to me how they are that racist, but they are. Like, maybe you can get away with that, get away from that, like, in New Orleans. But if you're anywhere else, you're fucking screwed. And that's what happened. And this guy got away with it for years and years and years until eventually he targeted someone who he could not run from. Who was also, I believe, a black man too. Actually, was he black or white? He might have been white, actually. I think his final victim was white. And guess what? Of course, because he's white, there's something wrong. And that's angering. So that's the other aspect of it too. Police do not think us as victims. Again, even, we've talked about R. Kelly on this too. R. Kelly was very smart in picking his victims. were for all Black women. For the most part. There were others too, but
nobody cared.
Nobody cared. You literally have this guy on fucking video. You know, initially, when they initially charged him, and he got away with it. Mm-hmm. I don't understand that. I don't get it. It's angering. But anyway, those are my thoughts and my feelings on the Black Lives Matter situation and why we need it. Let's move on to this article that we've been talking about. So, for those who, again, don't know, Pickering City Councillor Lisa Robinson is facing backlash after penning an op-ed, that's what we're calling it, that's trying to figure out the right word, op-ed, saying she doesn't support the concept of Black History Month. Saying things like racism isn't solely black and white. So guys, thanks to Mikel sending this to me, I do have the op-ed, so I'm going to read it for you. It's a little long, but stick with me. So the op-ed is titled, "It is not black and white." So, we are amidst Black History Month. Celebrations plus more celebrations is all you hear. Politician after politician attempting to get Afro-Canadian vote, hypocritically championing a people's contribution throughout history. I remember in school being taught history, not Black history. Hispanic, Euro, Arabic, Southeast, Rim, Oriental, and let's not forget, Native, while and or any other mix of races. But that's a fucking problem, my girl. That's a problem. We should be learning all kinds. And for her to say we don't learn Native history, that's a fucking lie, because I did. I don't know what the fuck you were.
Yeah, we did too. We did. Just Black history wasn't, go ahead.
What I'm going to say here too, we've talked about genocides. Those are important to learn about too, and usually is, look at the biggest one, the Holocaust is one of the biggest genocides. And yes, they were white people, but Jewish people tend to be looked at very differently as well. So I find that very fucking ignorant of her. And again, Holocaust people did not just include Jewish people. It included a wide range of people as well. Japanese being in, I want to say death camps, but it's not death camps. It's, the other camps too. I can't remember why it's not coming to me right now. But that's another thing too. We've learned about that as well. What the fuck is this girl talking about? I think you need to go back to school.
Exactly. So in the Durham newspaper, she basically was asked questions. The need for Black History Month. She answered with, "Why in the modern age are we so driven by color?"
She says that in the op-ed too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in another quote, she says, "Slavery is not a black and white issue."
She says that on the op-ed as well. Let's continue reading it.
Yeah.
So, back then it was history. Yes, mistakes were made. Noted. The key here is why in this modern age are we so driven by color of skin instead of the human element? I say the human element as we are all people. In the race to equality, it's not the celebration of one race over another in itself racist. No, bitch, no. No, it's not. Yeah. We're trying to highlight things because people don't to think about Black history and where Black people have come from. So, yes, especially when we don't learn enough in school of Black history, and we should be.
Oh yeah, this is why. This is proof right here.
Exactly. Thank you.
Oh, she's proof.
She is proof. And for those not of that race hypocritical. Now, before anyone goes getting offended, bitch, I'm offended, take off the offended cap, y'all, and put on the thinking cap. I want to punch her in her face. Someone not long ago of status in the community and of color dare call me white privilege. Because you are. We're going to talk about white privilege in a little bit. Let me continue on with this shit she said. So, if that was not a racist statement, I do not know what is. This same person is to championing equality across the board, but it seems that due to limited intellect, they confuse the meaning of equality with the attempt to denounce in the name of punishing everyone for their psychological insecurity stemming from race. So you're trying to tell me that I have a mental thing going on because I just happen to be Black? This woman person. And can I stress to everybody who doesn't know, she is a white woman and has no place to talk about any of this. So
exactly.
This scares me, she says. Well, you scare me. I am not prejudiced nor discriminatory. Here we go. Ready? Get rich bird, guys. Here we go. I have friends of all nationalities. And as an elected official, I treat everyone equal and without bias. So I hate this shit. I hate this shit so much. Just because you have, I have Black friends, so I'm not racist. Listen to me. And I've had this conversation with my boyfriend too, because he's dated white women, he's dated Black women, he dated all kinds of different women. Now we have me. But we had this exact conversation, and because he was in a pretty crazy abusive relationship at one point with a white woman before, because again, like I said, we've been off and on throughout the time I've known him, so it was one of the off points. But we had a conversation, and I said to him, I said, listen, just because a white woman is either a friends with Black people or is interested in being with Black men or is with Black men or whatever, just because you're sleeping beside a Black man at night does not necessarily mean you're not racist. Just because you're friends with a Black person does not mean you're not racist. Just so means that you happen to be friends or happen to have, been with a Black person or whatever. But it doesn't change anything.
Yeah, I can't stand people who say things like that.
Makes me so angry. Makes me so freaking angry.
Yeah.
So now, back to being called privileged, she says. Oh, this is great. How does the color of my skin make me privileged? I've had to work hard for everything I own. I endure economic hardships just like the many reading this. The many of all colors. Okay, let me tell you why. Ma'am, now, as a woman, you do deal with your own hardships, doesn't matter the color of your skin. So she does have that. But ma'am, the fact that you are a white woman means you have a leg up over someone like me.
Yes.
And you are given privileges in life that I, as a Black woman, will never have. Or if I do have, I have to work 10 times harder than you did to get it.
Oh.
That has to do with securing jobs. Do you know how hard it was for me to secure a job? And I do wonder if people look at me and think, well, we don't want to work with you because you're Black or whatever.
Or hold on. Here's another one. Your name.
Or my name, exactly.
Your name.
I can get the interviews, but then as soon as they see me, it's like, well, then what's going on here, right? But that's right. My name alone can make me be like, you know, can give me a problem. So now, in the words of my aunt, my name, if you think about it, sounds like a Japanese dish. So maybe they think I'm Japanese, but I don't know. True story.
They probably look at you and be like, whoa, you're not Japanese.
I thought you were Japanese. What's going on? But
we may have to rethink our position into the company with you.
But that's exactly it, though. Like, even like, okay, like, I don't want to go into too much with again, but even like, so the position that I started off with in my company, I was receptionist / legal assistant. I have always been working with the lawyer that I have been working with in the beginning. And when I eventually was able to get off reception, bless baby Jesus, I was replaced by somebody else who I am still friends with. I love her half to death. She's amazing. And but there were times where she would, like, she was able to take time off. There were times that she had to, you know, whatever happened was going on. But there was a lot of time taken off in the beginning of the job that it was beginning to be like, if this were me, would I have been given the pass? And I remember my boyfriend saying, well, there's white privilege for you. That's different. She might be, maybe I could have gotten away with it. I don't know. I won't know, because I would never have thought to do that anyways. But that is a thought too. Like, even if it wasn't me, if it was someone else in a different company and whatever, they wouldn't have been able to get away with that as a black person, but the white person probably could have. You know?
Yeah.
Like,
that's 100% right. Yeah.
Yeah. It's ridiculous. I see shit happening with my own friends too, who, you know, are black and, you know, dealing with different situations and whatever that probably the white person would never deal with. That is a reality. I wish it wasn't, but it is. And the fact that this woman is so ignorant to that means you are wholly unaware of your privilege, and you do have it.
Yep.
You do have it. So let's continue. Gotta find my spot here. So much so that my own employer, city-elect, biously with extreme prejudice, cut my pay for 90 days for exercising my freedom of speech. What? Like, come on. Over a comment I made in regard for feeling like my council was treating me like a modern-day slave. Now I feel I was persecuted and punished, that my rights and freedoms were violated to the point where I felt discriminated. Then how is that this person dares tell me I am privileged because you are privileged? You are privileged. The problem we face is that in society, there's so much hate. That is true. I will give you that. The one thing I want to also say with her pay being cut, what I will say in her defense, if it were a man, they probably wouldn't have had their pay cut. But because she's a woman, that's probably why it happened. So I'll give you that.
100%.
Yeah, I'll give you that. And
we'll talk about that in a future episode about
we will.
About that, but yeah, well, go ahead.
Spoiler alert, next week's episode. So
yeah.
So much confusion and so many people in positions that they are not fit to hold. For anyone to become upset or insulted over modern day slavery, the words, y'all, just the words, is pure insanity on their part. A show of their limited intellect, bitch. And there's like psychological scaring due to misunderstanding and lack of self-esteem. Oh my God. Now let's leave that for another column. Please don't. The point here is that we are the point is here is that we are all of all colors. She does not write well. Modern day slaves. She's trying to say that we're all modern day slaves. Okay. We are led to believe that we have choices, that we have freedom, and that we have rights. We do have rights, but everyone's freedoms are a little different than the others. In reality, we are all slaves of our demise. Try not going to work for a month. See how that affects your rights and freedoms. I'm fucking dead. Now, back to slavery and color. First and foremost, slavery is not a white and black issue. But you're right, because black people were being forcibly put into slavery, and the white man was not only beating black people into submission, we're also raping black women into submission, fathering children with them. Don't begin to pretend like you understand what being a slave is. I can't do that because I was never one. But I can understand because I've done my research and I've understand to the point of this is what people endured. And you want to... This woman would be great for the sequel of Get Out.
Yes.
She'd be perfect.
Yeah.
Blackface. Yeah. Today in today's modern world, slavery is, in the traditional sense, is still practice. I'm confused by that. Places like Saudi Arabia, some of the South Pacific countries, and in Africa itself. Oh God. So then why are we celebrating Black History Month in Canada? So she's basically trying to say, like, places like in Africa should be celebrating Black history, but why here in good old Canada are we celebrating Black History Month?
Wow. So okay, basically we're not a multicultural country. Okay.
No, apparently not. Apparently not.
We're all white.
We don't have people here from Africa or from other countries.
Just white people.
Even people in Caribbean countries have a connection back to Africa. And this bitch is acting like, what, we don't? And I find it funny that she only mentioned places like Saudi Arabia or Africa who have Black people in it, or traditionally have Black people in it who dealt with the slave trade. But you realize the slave trade took us to other places, right?
She might as well say Jamaica. She might as well say that.
But she's ignorant. She's ignorant and doesn't realize that African people, Jamaica, we came from Africa. It's just, or any Caribbean country, besides, like, you know, Trinidad, Guyana, as Russell Peters has said, y'all got on the wrong boat. But nonetheless, places like that, you know, we all came from Africa. And I feel like this bitch doesn't realize that. She hasn't put that connection, and she doesn't, like, oh, really? Like, I feel like she'd say that. I didn't know that. Oh, I didn't know. Like,
that's
she needed a little more Black history in her life. She's a dumbass. Oh my God.
This is a case of a person just around her own circle, not being aware of.
But oh no, wait. She has Black friends, remember?
I mean, okay, all right, okay.
Oh my God. So yeah.
So what's your final thoughts on this?
I'm not done. We still have more. Okay. We still have more. We're not done yet. we are so hung up on North American history and the historical trafficking of primarily African descent people that we have lost sense of time and period. Back in those days, society was very different. Today, we have come a long way. Even thought slavery is practices across the planet. I don't get that. We do not have other nations' race history in Canada. Like the many that were brought from Latin America. She's an idiot. Like many that were brought from Latin America, the Orient, which I don't even think you could say that anymore. Are we celebrating in segregation, not only reminding everyone of very dark part in North American history? Wait, I thought it wasn't a part of American history. Oh, wait. Make up your mind. Also, are we not in the name of equality showcasing prejudice? How is this prejudice? Okay, if this is so, then why is it that we continue to do it? Could it a political, she's horrible. Could it be a political attempt to fool people? I say this because if we acknowledge our differences between all of the races, is that not prejudice in of itself? Someone need to proofread the shit because she's horrible. Why should the government have special programs for some races, almost excluding others, as deeming these programs exclusive to one race? Okay, special Black business programs, special Black business loan, now to add more interest to this intellectual conundrum. You're basically trying to say Black people have all of these privileges, yet, why should they have it? Because we need it. Because we don't have the same privileges that others do.
Yeah.
Very rarely do we have that. And when we do have those wins, that's great. But we deserve to have those things. Why not?
Yeah, we do. It's been gatekept away from us for, perhaps generations, I would say. Or am I wrong about that?
When we speak of Black and white, there are many shades of white. There are many shades of brown, yellow, red, black, and so on. You can't refer to Native people as red, and you can't refer to Asian people as yellow. Is she serious?
I don't. Wow. Red. What does red people look like? Are they rednecks?
She's saying no. She's saying Native people. They're referred to as reds, like red skin, which is also something you're not supposed to say.
Yeah.
Like, you're not supposed to say that.
It's crazy.
Oh my god. So
I don't know how this person.
Go ahead.
I don't know how this person is our mayor.
I don't get it.
I really don't.
Your mayor.
I don't.
As well.
An our mayor.
There is prejudice within the color spectrum. Then the question remains, how are we truly to express our equality when it comes to color differences? Is it beneficial for equality to be demanded by honoring indifferences? What if it was White History Month? This is just like saying, what if we had heterosexual pride or something? It's straight pride month or straight. It's the same idea.
Yeah, straight, yeah.
Well, no, because history in general never had color. Yes, it did. Just episodes of history make it does.
Yeah.
Just episodes of history make references to the many conflicts and joint efforts of all color, much like during the World War. Soldiers of all races and color fought for our freedom. Let me take you guys back to when I talked about John Lawrence. That was not always the case. We did eventually do better. That wasn't always the case. So they sacrifice without thought or division based on color. It scares me that in this modern society, we have people that would dare support such division of celebrating differences of color. I support Afro-Canadian contributions to this great nation. I do not support the Black History Month statement any more than white privilege. She's acting like white people coined that.
I think
we technically coined that.
Yeah.
So
I'm. I just think I just heard enough of her right now.
I'm almost done. Bear with me. Only have a couple sentences left.
Yeah.
As both statement lack understanding and the intellect of the meaning of its intent, God made us in His image, an image that is not superficial, but one derived from one heart, one love. Did she steal that from Bob Marley? We can't ever be equal as long as we allow color to divide us. She ends this off by using a little quote at the end. Strength does not lie in the absence of fear, but in the courage to face it head on and rise above it. There it is, guys. I'm done.
My final thoughts is that this is proof that a person like this who's not aware of, Black History Month and is not aware of
her ignorances too.
Yeah, she's not aware of her own ignorance. So she needs to get educated, and I still don't know why and how she's my mayor. Sorry, I was about to say our mayor, but I said my mayor in Pickering, and says this is wild to me.
Mm-hmm.
So, people, this is why we need to bring awareness to a lot of schools that Black history needs to be a subject in our educational system. I'm not saying
it has to be like something that is only one, time. You know how we kind of do like World War I, and then we move on to World War II or whatever.
Yeah,
it doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah,
but it could be sprinkled in time to time, or you could do civil rights, and that way you can talk about those things.
Mm-hmm.
There are ways you can do this, but I think it needs to be done.
Yep. 100%. Hey. Yeah.
All right. I think we're done.
Yeah, we're done. Okay. That was that last topic was I just like had enough. Yeah, I had enough of her. I was like telling Tanyka, cut it, please. And then she's like, yeah, we still have some more. We still have some more. I was like,
because we need to bring awareness to it.
I know. That's important. I know.
And I remember like when you sent this to me, you literally like, I could feel the defeat in you when you sent it to me. Like, it's ridiculous. So if anyone wants to read this themselves too, it is on, I was actually going to say it before I close out of it. Hold on.
Yeah.
It's 6 Buzz TV on Instagram.
Yeah. Or you can check on the durhamregion.ca, or you can check on CP24. It's all over. And there's a video on YouTube as well. People doing people okay. Like people either doing reactions
to it.
Yeah. Little reactions, not much, but I just saw 3 videos that when I searched it, I was like, oh, there's 3 videos on it on YouTube.
Jeez.
So I never seen Pickering News being on YouTube ever. So that's
to this extent.
Yeah, this is the first time. So this is, I would say, this is I wouldn't say a bad experience for us as a region, but like I'm missing a word here. Yeah, I can't figure it out, but like it's horrendous. This magnitude that a mayor would say this. So okay. So this ends episode 22 of the Next Tape podcast. The Next Tape podcast is available on all streaming platforms. We also have a website called solo.to Next Tape podcast. Where else are we at, Tanyka?
We're on Facebook and Instagram at Next Take Podcasts, and we're on Twitter and TikTok at Next Take Pod.
Okay, you can also email us at Mikel, Tanyka at gmail.com. And yeah, that's about it. So we talked about a lot of things on the finale of our Black History Month series. We talked about BML. We also talked about Pickering Mayor.
Yeah,
the Pickering Mayor and her
op-ed
unawareness about Black history and other things. Yeah. Anything you want to say, Tanyka, before we get out of here?
Good luck to you, Mayor of Pickering. You will no longer be the Mayor of Pickering moving forward. That's it. You'll be voted out.
Yeah. And also thank you for the people who support us doing this Black History Month series. Like I said in the first few minutes of this episode, this was a learning experience, and I'll continue to learn, even though I did say it earlier, I did kind of struggled through this episode, and Tanyka did carry this series, in my opinion.
Thank you.
So like basically she carried it. So without her, this wouldn't be a thing. This would have been short if it was just only me. So yeah, thank you for doing this series with me, Tanyka. So
thank you.
Hopefully
I definitely learned things too.
Yeah. Well, not hopefully do more, but like
we will.
Most likely we'll do more.
We will definitely do more
in the near future. Yeah. So that's basically it. So I am Mikel, and
I'm Tanyka.
And we are out until next week. Peace.
Bye.